What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we got a surprise balancing update, and while this wasn't nearly as massive as last week's update with Season 1 Reloaded, this one includes some very important changes to primarily the kits in this game, but also we have a very notable buff to the AMR-9. And without further ado, let's dive right into this, and we're going to start it off with the Holger 556 with the Jak Signal Burst kit. And with this, the first thing they did is they increased the gun kit control benefit by 10%, as well as the recoil control benefit by 10%. And when we look at pre-patch versus post-patch here, it actually looks like an increase to our overall recoil. But the reason this looks like an increase is they also decreased our burst fire delay, so there's just less time to recenter between bursts. So within the burst itself, you should notice slightly more accuracy now, but it will have a tendency to climb more if you're spamming at the maximum fire rate. And speaking of that burst delay change, this went from 120 milliseconds down to 90 milliseconds, so it was a very significant reduction to our burst delay. And while this doesn't change our 4-shot kill potential, since we're killing within one burst there, our 5-shot kill potential is cut down by 30 milliseconds, so it's now 410 milliseconds rather than 440, which is a nice improvement there, and that does make this kit a lot more forgiving. Now we saw those exact same changes with the Jak Signal Burst on the DM56, and again, when we look at our recoil pre-patch versus post-patch, we see that same trend just because there's not enough time for it to recenter between bursts, but within the burst itself, it should be a little bit more accurate now. And then when it comes to our time to kill potentials, this looks exactly the same as with the Holger 556. We see a bit of a reduction in our 5-shot kill potential due to that faster burst delay. Next up, they mentioned in the patch notes that the Jak Thunder LMG kit for the Sidewinder, they actually buffed this by decreasing the bullets required to reach the maximum rate of fire from 25 down to 15. Now, I was actually about to upload the breakdown of this in today's video before this patch went live, so if you guys want the details on this, I should be able to update that video and have it ready to go for tomorrow, so that's when you can expect that one. But next, let's get into the changes to the AMR-9, and we're first going to cover the changes to the base gun. This doesn't have anything to do with the kit or anything, this is just the base AMR-9. And the first thing they did is they actually adjusted the size of the body multiplier, so that bonus zone. Previously, this would cover all of your torso as well as your arms, whereas now they've shrunk that down to only include the upper torso and the upper arm, so from the elbow and up. And now the lower torso and lower arms will deal the same amount of damage as the legs. So in a way, that's a bit of a nerf, but in addition to that, they increased our base damage and also increased our headshot damage. So overall, this was a net buff, and it's much more consistent with body multipliers now since that base damage isn't as low. So for example, up close and personal, this is a guaranteed 5-shot kill now, whereas previously, if you mixed in too many leg shots, it could be a 6-shot kill up close. Additionally, when it comes to headshots, in the maximum damage range, previously, you needed 2 headshots mixed in with torso shots to reduce the number of shots to kill. Now you only need 1 single headshot mixed in for a 4-shot kill. Now, that's not the only change. Another thing they did here is they increased the rate of fire on the AMR-9 quite noticeably up to 833 rounds per minute. And while our recoil values haven't changed at all since we're firing at a higher fire rate, you will notice there's a bit more recoil after the patch compared to before the patch. And on top of that, since we have this faster rate of fire, we will be killing very noticeably faster now. So up close, we're killing in 288 milliseconds, which is much more competitive. Now, in order to compensate for these pretty big buffs to the AMR-9, they did also reduce our range values slightly. And I think that makes sense. That ensures that this doesn't become immediately overpowered. But I've got to say, this was a huge buff to the AMR-9, and you should definitely give this a shot post-patch. I do want to get a little more playtime with it, but this may be an upper tier SMG now. As for the next thing I want to cover, this is also with the AMR-9, but this is with the Ettin kit, which was absolutely terrible pre-patch. I believe it was actually bugged out and not working as intended. I did a whole video talking about how bad this is. It had literally 0 upsides. It only hurt the gun. Whereas post-patch, first off, they reworked the rate of fire, so it now works as the description states, where every time you fire a shot, you're actually firing 2 bullets. And with this, our rate of fire is effectively 593 rounds per minute, but for each quote-unquote shot that you fire, you're actually firing 2 bullets. That's the best way to look at this instead of doubling the rate of fire, because it does change how the time to kill values work out. And in order to compensate for this, they did reduce our damage values across the board. However, like I said, you're no longer firing a 2-round burst, you're firing both bullets at the exact same time. So for every shot that you fire, 2 bullets will come out. So you can effectively just double these damage values. But I'm not going to state it that way just because at longer ranges, it is possible that you hit only 1 out of those 2 bullets, since there is a little bit of spread or bloom with this kit. It is also worth noting the way these damage profiles work out, body multipliers aren't really relevant anymore, which is great. It makes this a lot more forgiving outside of really long ranges where you do have to ensure you're hitting lots of torso shots. Now, something I didn't see stated in the patch notes, but they did also change with the Ettin kit, is they significantly changed the ranges. They actually nerfed them very considerably. As you can see there, our 3-shot kill, or technically 6-bullet kill, but I'm going to call it a 3-shot kill with this, that's only 7 meters, so you only get that really exceptional time to kill in super close quarter situations, but at longer ranges, we're still killing faster than we did pre-patch. And then finally, and arguably most importantly with the Ettin kit, post-patch, they significantly cut down on the recoil due to how this works. And as you can see now, it's actually a very accurate gun. You should be able to control this just fine, even at really long ranges. But keep in mind, even though they really significantly reduce the aim down sight spread, or what a lot of people like to call bloom, there is still a little bit of inaccuracy there. And at extremely long ranges, it's possible that you land just 1 out of those 2 bullets in a shot. But there we go, that wraps it up for the Ettin kit. That was a ridiculously big buff, and it's now a much more viable kit to be using, so definitely give that one a shot. Let's now move on to the final gun that was changed with this update, and this is the Rival 9 with the Jak Headhunter kit. With this, the first thing they did is they reworked the damage profile, so now there's only 3 damage ranges instead of 4, and on top of this, they reduce the amount of damage we deal to the legs, as well as the lower torso and arms. However, there were some buffs to the upper torso and neck, as well as the headshot damage. And overall, this now gives it a 4 to 5 shot kill potential, whereas previously it was a 5 to 6 shot kill. We couldn't get a 4-shot kill with it. And on top of that, headshots are quite a bit more powerful. It's actually possible to get a 1 burst kill to the head up close, as long as every bullet in that burst lands on the head. So there's definitely more potential with this gun now, but you also have to make sure you're a bit more accurate. It's not as forgiving if you start mixing in those lower torso or leg shots. Additionally, they decreased the burst fire delay on this from 80 milliseconds down to 66 milliseconds, so it's a bit more forgiving for any missed shots, and this also technically improves our time to kill potentials. With a 4-shot kill, we can now kill in 276 milliseconds, which is a very significant improvement over the previous 5-shot kill potential up close. And now, even with a 5-shot kill, we are going to be killing noticeably faster due to that shorter burst delay. So once again, we see some very significant improvements to this kit, and that's pretty much it for this update as far as weapon balancing goes. Another thing I just want to mention, with the breacher drone, they reworked this a little bit. Previously, if you threw a breacher drone out and an enemy came within 5 meters of you and the breacher drone hits them, it actually wouldn't hit them. It would just pass directly through them because it needed 5 meters to activate first. Now they fixed that, so it will activate within 5 meters and it will explode on impact if an enemy is really close to you when you throw that, which is a good thing, but on the other hand, it may be a bad thing because when it explodes, it's likely going to be killing you as well. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Overall, definitely some huge changes with this one to many of the kits in the game. And I would say a lot of these kits that were previously not very good or not even viable at all, they are now much more usable. And on top of that, like I said, make sure you check out the AMR-9 post-patch. I think you'll be very impressed, at least based on what we can see on paper. And with that, this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. What did you guys think about today's surprise weapon balancing update? Are you generally happy to see these changes, or not so much? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.